everybody, and welcome to another occult video. I am totally not sitting here in order to cover up the socket that's directly behind me and just does not look aesthetically pleasing. I also have not just sat here completely stressing out about the fact that I can't get my flicker to sync correctly with the camera over here when it comes to my lighting, and therefore just one of my LEDs just constantly is giving that effect, and it's totally not driving me bonkers. But anyways, let's just proceed to the topic of the video, which is I have been asked by a person today what kind of exercises they can do to train their astral senses. And for anyone that's new and that can't sense spirits very well or wants to get deeper into spirituality and just feels like they're not sensitive at all, the first thing to think about is your own expectations. You will never just like be seeing like hallucinating people walking around or be hearing very like realistic noises alongside the rest of like your world. That is not what astral senses are. It is a lot more subtle and a lot closer to things like intuition and what the vibe of the place that you're at feels like and your imagination. Therefore, when you mean about developing astral senses, you mean about developing the kind of experiences that you could experience in meditation. You're not really talking about getting a superpower where you're going to be seeing the regular world and then like an extra layer of world overlaid. So, the first thing to keep in mind is that it might be that you're not actually like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that your expectation is completely wrong. So that is a place to start. Secondly, meditation. Normally, you get better by using it, and empty headed meditation of just sitting with your environment every single day will do quite a lot. Repetitive attempts to work with the spirit will do quite a lot. Therefore, a lot of it is almost passive. Just do your thing and it will improve over time. Just be consistent at it and continue sticking to it, and it will do its thing. However, what if you want to add like an extra oomph? What if you want to do a bit more than that? Well, in that case, there has been like several exercises that I have been given by my friends when I was new myself. And there's also things that I have developed myself over time that really help with that sort of thing, because really you just want to be using your eyes, ears, sensations and be able to recall said sensations. That is practically how you train. So, exercise number one: whenever you go in the shower or in the bathtub, things tend to fog up because, well, water hot. Try and look at the fog, focus on it. Try and see if you can start to see individual particles of water floating around, because it isn't just air. It actually does have like that damp water in it now. Therefore, it is a lot easier to see movement of air in your room, and it's more heavy. There's more of a thing to focus on. So just focus on it. See how the fog goes, where it's going, appreciate it, look at its movement, try and see like individual particles of water moving. You might not be able to get super eyesight, but from your attempts at focusing on it, you'll get used to focusing more on the small things and it will help. There is a second part to that, which is just it's easiest to notice if like your room is slightly dusty or if there's more wind than normal, and especially in corners. If you look at corners of your room, sometimes what you can't see is actually like the flow of air. So another way to exercise your eyes is to look at corners of the room to see if you can see the air moving. Once again, this is using your eyeballs. A second sort of exercise is this time for your ears. When listening to music, try and pick tracks that have more than one instrument playing. Try and pick more complex tracks. And then throughout any kind of song or any kind of like piece of music that you enjoy, try and follow a singular track throughout the whole song. So like one instrument. Just it might be a drums, it might be the guitar. If you need to, try and like repeat the rhythm, repeat the melody that that particular instrument is playing, but try to focus on just that one instrument. What you'll notice after a while is that you're able to sort of mentally mute the rest of the track while just focusing on one instrument. If you find yourself doing that, to train that, switch what instrument you're following. You're like, oh, okay, so I'm following the guitar and I'm actually beginning to hear the guitar more clearly because I'm mentally trying to filter just for the guitar and follow the guitar. Okay, let me just stop, let me back up to the start of the track, and let me choose a new instrument to follow. And then see if you can switch from one instrument to another and back again during the progression of the song without even like muting and going back. Just this way, you're training what way you're focusing on sound with your ears. And once again, it really helps with your astral senses because it's your thinky thoughts, it's your brainy brain. it's a it's an exercise that helps you with sounds and separating sounds and understanding sounds. The third one is another one that my friend has given me. I have a modified version of this that I'm gonna share a bit later on. It's gonna be the fourth. We're gonna be training your imagination and your ability to retain a mental image. And for that, imagine a six-sided dice. If you can't pick up a six-sided dice or Google what a six-sided dice looks like, and try to memorize all of its sides. Like, where does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 go on it? It doesn't matter which numbers you're selecting or what your six-sided dice that you're gonna hold in your head will look like. It has to be a six-sided dice though. Now imagine that it is in your head and that it is standing there. Can you look at it from different angles? Try until you can. Like, think about what happens if I rotate my viewpoint to the left or to the right. What do I see then? What if I rotate it for underneath the dice? What do I see then? What if I rotate my viewpoint above the dice? What do I see then? When you can do that, select a comfortable viewpoint and mentally roll the dice and roll it slowly because you want to be tracking how the numbers change as the dice is rolling. What is happening to the dice? You want to be able to simulate that experience. When you can simulate that in your mind fairly well, you can progress to something a bit more complex, like a 10-sided dice or a 20-sided dice. You can roll two six-sided dices if you want. It is training your brain. It is training the ability for you to imagine and for you to imagine things accurately. Now, my fourth version of this is something that I like doing, which is immersing yourself in an imagined sensory experience. This means that you are imagining with the idea of trying to experience something that you know how it felt and to actually like physically remember the whole experience, not just observe yourself having. So, for example, a simple one for sensation of touch and the sensation of taste would be you are holding a hot cup of cocoa. Do you remember what cocoa smells like? Try and experience that through memory. Do you remember what holding a hot cup feels like? Try to experience that sensation through your memory and through your imagination. And then in your imagination, take a sip. Do you remember what cocoa tastes like? Cocoa tastes sweet. Can you recreate the sensation of taste in your mind? That is what you're training. And you can do this with any kind of sensory experience. You could say, oh, I'm just standing by the ocean. And the goal here is to remember what the ocean smells like. What's the air there like? What would it feel like if I stepped into the ocean? The ocean obviously feels wet. What does the sand underneath your feet feel like? Or something like, I am putting my hand into a bag of rice. Well, what does that feel like? What does rice feel like? What kind of sensation are you getting out of that? You are training your ability to imagine with sensation and to remember your own sensations. And after a while, that actually results in not only some fairly good meditative experiences, but also sometimes very sensationary dreams where you dreamt, but it wasn't just the image that reached your brain, it was a dream with full sensations. And of course, some of them can be pretty gross as dreams, so like you wouldn't want that. Like, if you dreamt that you were in a pretty disgusting bathroom, maybe you don't want to remember what that smells like. But other times it can be great because you're like, I dreamt that I was eating birthday cake and I could taste it. It actually did taste like birthday cake. It was pretty awesome. So these are 4 different exercises that you can do to train your eyes and ears in real life, and then to train your imagination and ability to first hold an image, and secondary to add more perception and sensation to your imagination, which is effectively what your astral senses are. It is how you sense the world, not with your physical senses, and it's going through your brain, through your thinky thoughts. So there you go. If you want to get better at that, try any one of these, but try to be consistent because consistency is key. Like, if you tried it once and then tried it again 2 months later, I'm not entirely sure how, useful that is. If you don't want to overdo it, then just settle for something easier, like your regular meditation practice. It will net you results as long as you're consistent about it. Or for something like your regular spirit work practice, because once again, you get better the more you do it. What you need is time. You don't need to overstretch yourself or to overthink or to overdo. So remember that. Don't just like dive in and go, oh my god, I need to do like this thing and I need to be like here to do this thing and I feel like I am here myself, so I can't be doing this. No, you can. It's just the more you do it, the more you're gonna train yourself. It's like a muscle. So the more you do it, the better it gets. So here are just the suggestions if you want to be doing something extra. Or if you don't want to like involve a spirit work practice, but you still want to train your astral senses. So take it as a suggestion, don't take it like as homework, but if this is what you want to do, if this is something that you want to improve, this is how you can do it. I hope that this video is going to be helpful to somebody. Reminder for anyone that finds my channel through these, this is mostly a gaming channel. I only have one occult playlist. Go and check it out, see if there's anything else useful in it for you. Occult videos will happen from time to time, but it isn't really the focus of the channel because this is kind of my space. This is where I just come to relax. And sometimes people ask me occult questions, and then sometimes I think, oh yeah, that might be a good idea to like answer in a video for a wider audience. So maybe more than one person can like benefit from this advice. But it isn't really something that this channel focuses on. I don't feel like I would have that many things to say if my focus was like solely occult and every single week I would need to think about like several occult topics to make, because at some point I would be like, I don't actually know what to talk about. this week. Therefore, these videos kind of happen organically when I have something to talk about. I also have occult books. They mostly focus on demons and demonology. I think, yeah, they should be. They are in practically every description of my video, as like an Amazon link. If you find me on Reddit, I also have that pinned to my profile, what I sell, what I don't sell, do and don't do. And I also have a free version of every book that I sell, and it is in that Reddit thread. I will just link it down in the description down below. So if you want like more material from me, that is what I've released, that is what I have. See if any of it fits your practice and see if any of it, helps you. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm gonna see you next time. Toodaloo.